What's happening, folks? Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's a post-match pint after Celtic 3, Hibs 0. As always, we're here on the roof at Malones Bar in Glasgow. If you're in the area, if you're looking for somewhere to have a Christmas beer, get involved. It's in Sucky Hall Lane. I've got Callum and Kenny with me to go over. Kenny, what I thought was a bit of a strange game. We run out 3-0 winners, but if you didn't see that game today and you looked at the scoreline, it probably didn't tell you the full story, did it?
Yeah, I think that flattered us in the end. It's another good game to take between the, really exerting game midweek out to Croatia at the start of next week. It's an obvious opportunity to rest people. It didn't surprise me that McCowan, Engels and Ida came in. You're always a little bit nervous when Vickers isn't in the side because he just has such an influence over the shape of everything that you're doing. Trusty and Scales have had a bit of a mixed sort of period together. They are probably our best defensive performance of the season was Trusty and Scales out in Italy. And when everything's in front of them, like when you're out in Italy and you're defending deep, they're so good in the air that they can control things. But when they're playing a bit of a higher line in a home game like that, I think it was evident today that their relationship's not quite there yet. They were getting caught in behind. They get caught in behind after, a minute? They'll clean through and goal. Fortunately, the first 5 minutes was sort of all Hibs. Then we got a goal against the run of play. And I was really pleased when Engels scored because I thought that's the type of confidence boost, that's the type of moment that could jolt him out of a bit of a malaise that he's been in. But it didn't really. And I think he continued to be... He just looks... He's lost his edge a bit. I don't think this is going to be a long-term thing. I'm convinced, young guy, talented guy, over the course of his contract he'll be a good signing for Celtic. But at the moment he needs something to jolt him out of this sort of malaise that he's in, and it did. So his performance didn't help. We had sort of lacking a bit of ideas. Scales was playing balls over the top into Maeda. That worked a couple of times. They got wise to that. So we didn't really have anything creative at all in the first half. I think in the second half, Rodgers, I think had sort of, as he often does, can change things a bit. McGregor just played a little bit higher at the start of the second half, and it allowed us to take a more traditional sort of territory in the game. And we could have went out, we could have scored before we did, and then we get that. Ida get credited with the goal in the stadium, but he's never going to get that in an official sense. So that sort of killed the game at that point in time. And then when you bring your subs on with the quality of the subs, a moment of magic at the end there from Kyogo, you can run out and put a bit of gloss on things. But if it wasn't for Kasper, in any other day you could have dropped points in that fixture. So it was a bit of a weird game overall. But look, we're not going to sit here after every single home game in an entire league campaign and say, well, it was another swashbuckling 6-0 victory. Everyone was playing at their peak. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Just a routine league win in between two tough fixtures in a period of congestion. These are where you can just get a bit sleepy and drop points, and we were professional. So I would say it was overall a satisfactory afternoon.
Aye, Callum, I think as Kenny says there, you look at these games that we've had away to Pittodrie, we've had Hearts and Brews recently as well, we've got this home game against Hibs, we're away to Zagreb during the week, we've got the cup final. Really, if you look at that game, even from a supporter's point of view, the Hibs game is the one that you barely pay any attention to. Now, I'm not saying the players done that, of course, today, but as Kenny says, it is a bit run-of-the-mill, and we do just need to get out of the way, get the points, and be done with it. I think today, Kenny's given his thoughts on the first half there. It just seemed like we weren't quite in our usual rhythm, didn't it?
I probably think that maybe the players did take their mind off it a little bit and did look to Tuesday.
Subconsciously even.
Hibs are now bottom of the league by the end of today's results, but as going into it, they were sitting 11th, which pretty much they are bottom of the league with Hearts. Two of them have been terrible this season so far. But the amount of chances, Hibs should have been probably 3-0 up in the first 5-6 minutes. And then Kenny's touched on it, we go against the run of play and we quickly just cut them open, and it's one shot, one goal. Hibs fans must be in that stadium, we're raging. Just thinking, how have we missed chances? And I don't think any of those were offsides or weren't even given as offsides for the first one. So the start of that game for Schmeichel to be tested that way and to be so quick. How many keepers do you see that are just like getting into the game, haven't even had a touch of the ball, and it just goes by them? The first one, I think, I don't know, is it Kukurevich, the boy? I think it is. Yeah. He runs through him, and he should either go round Schmeichel, maybe, I'm not sure, but that's what I thought when I had seen it. But I'm sure he saves it with his legs.
Great save with his foot.
His foot, aye. He just spreads himself really big, and that's probably a key moment in the game, because we've seen many of these games. This time of year, you always get one of these games where you go 1-0 down quickly and it's 1-0 at half time, you go Celtic, pull the finger out, because it becomes what should be an easy day becomes a very uphill challenge because teams then sit in. I mean, Hibs says that they played three central defenders, but they played 2 wing backs, so they played 5 at a back, and they just flooded the midfield because even when Kukurevich went off, they brought on Josh Campbell, and they went Craig Levine-esque, just went 4-6-0, and put Johan up front to chase, and that's kind of what kind of ruined them a little bit because they didn't get as many chances after that moment. But yeah, I thought Hibs started really well, to be fair. Took us a wee while to get into it. But maybe that is down to how many games we've had. It's constant right now. Like, we love it as fans, but you only love it if you win. Like, it's horrible when you're in that moment of dropping points all the time, especially this time, maybe, well, no, this time last year, but this time maybe like February of last year we struggled at times. Like, there's so many games. So it's good to get this one, a run of the mill if you want to call it that, out the way.
Yeah.
It could have maybe been a stumbling block. Hibs were probably better than what people maybe thought they would have been coming into the game. So as you touched on, being away to Aberdeen, the weather was horrendous. I watched it from my cosy living room, mate. It was comfy and cosy. You and Martin looked a wee bit cold, but good result at Aberdeen. Zagreb's, it probably is. Everyone's looking at it because the atmosphere wasn't great today either. It was a wee bit mellow.
I said to Martin after full time, it was like just one of those mid-December league games.
It's just one of the, you just need to tick it and get it out and forget and get to the Malones and get a pint. It's one of the ones you're sitting there freezing. You're like, right, I need a pint. Get me up the road somewhere quick. So it was one of the run-of-the-mill games, but you still have to win those games. And I like the 3 goals, especially Kyogo's, and we'll touch on it later. But like disgustingly good.
Kenny, I think obviously we've extended our lead as well, which we'll come back to in a minute. Kasper Schmeichel gets the man of the match today, which is extremely rare for a Celtic goalkeeper playing at home in a league game. We've touched on a couple of the saves already, but I think it's worth discussing just the overall impact that he's had so far. We've mentioned him briefly throughout the course of this season already, but it honestly looks like he's been the Celtic goalkeeper for 10 years. It's been so seamless the way he's come in, how he's performed, and we just had a wee debate there before we came on air about obviously he needs to play longer to actually judge this, but in terms of his all-round ability and how he is with the ball at his feet, his ability to make saves, collect crosses, I mean, he's right up there with the best goalkeepers I've seen play for Celtic, and how he's fit in so seamlessly has been incredible.
Yeah, and age doesn't seem to be he seems to be getting better for us the more the season wears on. I think when he first signed, the school of thought was you might get a year out of him, but there's not that many keepers, continue to play at a high level when they get to 39. But I think we've got an option to keep him for a second year.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like they're going to have to look at triggering that. It's obvious. What is it? He brings everything. He's agile. You've seen that in the last Champions League game. He turned the one around the post the second half. Just incredible agility. His leadership is superb. I mean, he's quite, although McGregor's the captain, he's just not afraid to pull everyone in and almost perform a captain's role. The way he spread himself for those goals today, his dad reinvented that part of goalkeeping. So he's been educated in that style of goalkeeping from the greatest of all time. And you can see that he's carrying that into his elder years. I don't think he's made a mistake. We're nearly at Christmas. I can't think of a mistake he's made. Now, even great goalkeepers, they tend to make mistakes periodically. Joe Hart had a mistake in him. Arthur Borwick had a mistake in him, but he just seems flawless. So it does almost seem too good to be true that he's ticking every single box, and the team are already very, very reliant on him. And I'd be looking to sort of trigger his extension as quickly as we can, because I just can't foresee that any drop off, even if he dropped off a bit, he'd still be well above the bar that we need for a goalkeeper. And that it's a major reason why we've kicked on this season. Is simply because of his output.
Aye, Callum, it's got to be immediately, if not sooner, on that extension, innit? Because I think about whenever he leaves, trying to replace him with a goalkeeper who's as good with the ball at his feet to get him to come to Celtic and be as good a goalkeeper, I think it's nigh on impossible.
Aye, it's probably, for me personally, it's the one goalkeeper that I've always wanted Celtic to get. For the last 10-15 years, Celtic always target that young player who we can get in, we can develop, small fee, large fee. That's simple, that's how the club works, it functions, and that's how it pays the bills. That's what it does. We've never done it with a goalkeeper. The last one in the recent, maybe 20 years is Barkas, and it was a disaster. I think he signed when he was 26, so in goalkeeping terms, relatively quite young. And that was an absolute disaster for whatever reason. But I've always wanted somebody that can play with their feet, and everyone tells me, that means that they're either too expensive or they'll just beat you for a year and they'll move on. Schmeichel doesn't really have that option because he's at the end of his career.
Yeah.
One thing that crossed my mind today with Schmeichel and how good he performed was with the option that we've got on him, I think he might stay for 2 more years because the World Cup in America's 26. I think he'll bow out at the World Cup in America.
He's very close to his dad's Denmark cap record.
I think he'll overtake that because he always plays for Denmark and relatively does always very well. You never really see him make mistakes as such for Denmark. He's so strong in that position, and he almost feels like a legend of Danish football. And no one's really going to move him. It's more of a time when he removes himself that Denmark will say, right, we need to replace him. But that crossed my mind today, thinking that Craig Gordon's 41, playing for Scotland. Who knows how long Gordon will go on for? Gordon's nowhere near an all-rounded keeper as much as Schmeichel is. I had that conversation today talking about what goalkeepers have been really good for Celtic, and for me Schmeichel has probably been the best one because he's all-rounded. As you said, he can spread himself. He's not quick out his goal, but he's not slow either. He's probably your average goalkeeper getting out and spreading himself, but he does really well. But it's the ability to play with his feet is the key that opens it up for Celtic to almost destroy teams in Scotland anyway. Even Europe as well to an extent, because you look at Leipzig trying to press really high, and having him there being able to play out and then to break that press and then go, and maybe it's like a 4v3 overturn in the midfield, and you can get at teams where Joe Hart, brilliant, but in a situation like that, you've got 2 options. He either just kicks the ball out, or he takes too many touches and he dilly-dallies, and somebody wins it, nicks it off him, or he needs to make a foul. It always feels like that. Fraser Forster, Craig Gordon, they're all great shot stoppers, but none of them can play with their feet. They're atrocious with their footwork. Schmeichel is probably the best goalkeeper I've seen in my lifetime with his feet. So for him to get man of the match was brilliant. And there's another one for people watching a wee quiz. Who was the last Celtic goalkeeper to get a man of the match award?
It's got to be Fraser Forster in it.
And what game?
League Cup final.
League Cup final against Rangers. There you go. Aye. I just crossed my mind today and thought, there you go.
Yeah, fair. Kenny, Adam Ida got a rare start. Relatively rare for him. I know he started last week against Ross County, done very well. I think today huffed and puffed, but just didn't really have that cutting edge to his game, didn't he not?
Yeah, I mean, he could have put the game out of sight in the first half. He'd a sort of, I'd need to see it again. In live play it looked a bit odd, but he looked like it was a sort of half-open goal that he missed, albeit his body shape was a bit against him. But then he had a gilt-edged chance 6 yards for goal with nobody near him, where he just needed to put it either side of the keeper. And he was a bit lazy with his finish, I think. He just sort of lashed at it and he had it down the keeper's throat. So I hope with Adam there's not a level of inconsistency there that will plague him going forward, because sometimes he's just lethal in front of goal, and he's just a real animal and looks like a very natural predator. Then in that first half today you think that, it's pretty lacklustre the way he's performed in front of goal. Obviously something went a bit wrong for him at Norwich. Maybe it was his consistency in front of goal, I don't know. But in saying that, his goals per minute is absolutely superb. His strike rate for the amount of minutes on the park stands up with anyone else's we've had in many years. So the games like that will come and go today, where he doesn't score, he gets a bit frustrated. I'm not too worried about him. I think he's big fee, right? Well, I think we'll constantly be debating the fee for someone who's on the bench and is coming on, and we're having these discussions around. But for me, I would do it again. I do think it's a good investment. It changes the style of play. He's sitting in behind Kyogo and his goal rate's really strong. So not his best outing today, and he'll be frustrated with that, but he's an important member of the squad.
Aye, absolutely. Callum McCowan got another start after his brilliant performance last weekend, where he gets 3 assists and a goal. What do you make of his all-round game today? I thought he was really good in spells. At the start of that second half, he had some really nice passes. The one that was not so nice was the short one back to Schmeichel, where he had to make a save. But would you make of his all-round game today?
I think he's coming on. Look, it's hard for players that don't play week in, week out to then become brilliant at every appearance that they get. That's few and far between. That's just naturally difficult to say, all right, I'm not playing this week. Next week I'll be a 10 out of 10. It's almost impossible. So people will say, but no to this, and no, he's not good enough. Or I've not really heard that with McCowan, to be fair. But I think he's good. Look, he's small in stature and he's maybe not the strongest, but he's just that type of like Jack Russell dog. Just doesn't let go of it. Just goes for you. He's energetic. even his ability to get into the final third and play that pass, he done one in the first half and he just floats it over to Ida. And I think Ida hits it straight at...
tried to turn on it. Was that the one he tried to turn on it?
Oh,
the
he
keeper
did,
came into his feet?
and he let it go and it came to the goalkeeper's feet. It was that one. But really, really good ball from McCowan, and that's what he adds to Celtic. A lot of people maybe checked on that and was like, is he good enough to take the step from Dundee to Celtic? And a lot of people did think that, but we've seen it with previous players come from smaller clubs and doing well. He's that type of player that he won't be the next club captain, he won't be the next superstar that goes for millions, but he will be somebody that you need to win titles, you need to win cups, you need somebody that's reliable, that can perform when McGregor gets injured. How many times last year did McGregor get injured and we're like, we're done for? And I'm not saying that he's going to replace McGregor and he's anywhere near the level of McGregor, he's not, but he's still better than the options that we had last year. Look at the previous years, somebody like, was it Malumbu and Awata that we've brought on in previous years. Like Malumbu was under Rodgers, wasn't he? Is that right? Like Malumbu, and then you've got Luke McCowan. Luke McCowan can do the dirty side of football, but he can also do the side that gets people off their chairs and says great pass, and he makes the mistake, puts his hand up, but again Schmeichel, we come back to him, makes really important saves at really important times of the game. So I'm really happy, and touching on Adam Ida, is that Adam Ida's at a club that has more of the ball, is up probably against less opposition. So when he's in Norwich, people will say, well, he's not worth £9 million, because Norwich are, at that time when he was there, was a mid-table team. They weren't really getting close to going up or weren't close to going down, so they weren't getting in and out of games, they weren't keeping the ball. He doesn't get as many chances, and Ken talks about his stats, and he's got a good goal ratio per minute. But I think that will come. The one thing about Ida is, right, he's not clinical, but what he does do is he's always there and has a chance. The one at Aberdeen, he has the header and it's a really good save from Doohan. He's always there. You never really see Ida have a game, especially when he starts, and you go, he's had nothing today. He's not done anything. Maybe he's not eye-catching on the eye, and he's getting in behind, making sure the defender's checking his shoulder. He's not running off because he's just not that player. But what you're getting for £9 million is you're getting somebody that will always get a chance, might not always score it, but he'll still make defenders work. He's slightly different to Kyogo, and you see that with Kyogo coming on and getting his goal. There's been countless times where Kyogo, it feels like he's done not a lot. Well, he's done the dirty side, but nobody cares about that. Nobody says, he's done 20 runs and he's made the defence go back. But see if he's not scored, he's rubbish today. They don't analyse that and look at that. Ida can do that sometimes, then Kyogo today scores, and vice versa. Kyogo can do that, doesn't get anything. Ida comes on, gets 2 goals. And you go, hold on a minute, that's why it's 9. So it changes all the time, but there's a really good balance right now at Celtic. There's a really good flow of, you take somebody out, this person, that person, replace them with 3, and you're like, right, it's fine. But we can still steamroll teams, and we can't steamroll every single team. We can't have 6-0s, 5-0s. But there's 5-0 against Ross County, and now 3-0 against Hibs. Yeah, 2 teams slightly bottom, but like closer to the bottom of the league. But still games where you can slip up. Look at Rangers last season. The Ross County and Dundee struggled these 2 games and capitulated. So they're games at this time of the year when it's really cold and fans aren't having it, and it's that feeling. And then you get Zagreb and Tuesday, and there's a really big momentum on that. If Celtic can win, they've qualified. And I didn't think Celtic could probably qualify. I didn't think Celtic can be better than 12 teams. I didn't think we are better than 12 football teams in Europe. I genuinely didn't, but they're proving that, and if they can go to Tuesday and get that result, what a run of games that we've been on and not lost.
Incredible, absolutely incredible run the team's on, Kenny. I like the argument we did that he's already paid his £9 million and what he did last season in terms of the goals, because the goals are pivotal in winning as a title.
I'll take another cup final and all.
Exactly. And the Scottish Cup final. Kenny was replaced by Kyogo. And I think the one outstanding bit of quality that we saw in the game was towards the end when he made it 3-0, right in front of me. And it's really good actually pressing from James Forrest, who came on at half time for Coon, and I think he was positive in the game, really good. Won it back a couple of times, which again, that sort of pressing intensity is not something you associate historically with James Forrest, but he wins the ball back, goes into Atati, who gives him it back, and he plays a lovely wee reverse pass to Kyogo, but it's kind of shin height for him. And he almost does a step over in mid-air as he controls the ball with the inside of his right foot, and then he's got the composure and the quality just to dink it over the Hibs goalkeeper. It was a brilliant goal.
Yeah, and Forrest was at the heart of setting that up, but James is looking quite sharp at the moment, which is useful because our other wingers, in reserve, are not, they're not at the level we need. So we're quite going to be quite reliant on Forrest as we go through these periods of rotation. And it was a great ball into Kyogo, but only he could. Well, there's nobody else in the pitch, nobody else in the league can do that. And Kyogo can have quiet outings like Ida did today, but you just know that fundamentally that magic exists in his feet. And he's tried that little dink finish a couple of times this season and sort of failed actually.
Yeah.
But so it's obviously been something that's just in his head and he wanted to execute. But for me, as good as the finish was and as cheeky and as sort of nonchalant as it was, that first touch was the real moment of magic. It was like glue in his feet. He's killed the ball dead. To have the invention to take it in mid-air the way he did, no one else could do it, and that's why he's there. And we need him in form because he rises against Rangers. He crucifies Rangers. And if he's coming into a nice bit of form ahead of that really crucial cup final next weekend, he should be rightfully worried about that. And that was a glimpse that he's getting there. Just that finish today.
Aye, absolutely, Callum. That's the thing I love most about him, is that throughout his time with Celtic, he's scored goals. And I know today's relative, the goal's not pivotal in the game really. It just kills it at 3-0. There's not a huge intensity in the game at that time, but he's got that ability just to score a goal that nobody else could probably have come up with. That first touch, the way he controls it, and then the way he finishes it. And I know that at times when he goes through in the keeper, his finishing hasn't been so tidy this season, but sometimes he's just got that magic, as Kenny says, and it's a joy to watch.
He's brilliant. It's sad that he's getting older. Because at some point it's going to come to an end, and
don't do it to me.
So you do enjoy those moments that he gives you. And when you look at the goal, right, which is brilliant, and you used to have touched on there, is he's, as the ball's coming over, right, he's clocking it, and his left foot goes over the ball like a step over. But as he does that and takes the touch like within a split, like half a second, he does that. The keeper's already almost down because he thinks as he's going he might either hit it with his left foot.
Right.
He's like going to take a touch and then go that way. The keeper drops that movement of foot over the ball, touch right foot, kill it dead, and then just lift. He's lifted it because the goalie's already down at that point. And that is something that, I don't know, what was it, 4.5 million shouldn't buy you. 4.5 million shouldn't get you that. But somehow, somewhere, I don't know if it was Ange or whoever, but somehow we've got a really, really great player that people will say that he's probably the best since Larsson. I mean, you've got so many players, Edwards and Bellies, and that's another debate for another day. But Kyogo is just, he's just a real gem to have in the team. And he's no eye catcher, he's no physical and nasty and hit you one and turn you and roll you. But my God, man, he must be a nuisance for defending. He must, like, what's that Charlie McGrew story tells about, like I think it says like see ya, you can't catch me, something like that. And he runs away. We don't see that part, but like I could just imagine him doing that because he is quite that like quirky and like kind of like that Japanese way where they're kind of like hello and then just boom and that's it. Like he's full of energy. Love the guy, and I think we deserved probably 3-0. Because Hibs kind of chucked the towel in at the end, I'd more say, but it doesn't take away from Kyogo's goal. I thought we were just worthy of the 3 points, and again move on to Tuesday and that massive game that we've got.
Aye, he's absolutely incredible, Kyogo. Another goal for him today, Kenny. Now we go to that big game on Tuesday. Asked Martin this: how different did he think the starting 11 would be? It's obviously a big game away from home. We're in a great position in the Champions League, but you'd expect the manager to go somewhere near full strength for that one, wouldn't you?
I think he's got to go full strength, right? We're trying to get a Champions League qualification over the line. You don't do that with anything other than full strength. I think the team more or less picks itself apart from at left back. You're going to bring Vickers in, obviously.
Yep.
Him and Trusty. You've got to get Trusty back on his favoured foot and bring Vickers in. That's clear. I don't think McCowan or Engels or Ida did enough today to say that they're going to even give Rodgers a headache. I think Hatate, Bernardo and Kyogo are shoe-ins to come in and you set yourself up that way. The one area is left back, so I mean he didn't play Valley today, which would suggest he's got him in mind for Tuesday. But he didn't. He's not covered himself in glory that much, Valley, his last couple of rounds. I think he's he's a more cultured sort of left back than Greg Taylor. Some of his sort of artistry going forward, Greg Taylor can't perform, and that's good. But I think away in Croatia, in probably difficult conditions, well, they're probably going to want to keep things a little bit simpler at the back and come under spells of deeper pressure where you want someone that's a bit more robust. I'd go with Greg Taylor at left back. Whether he'll do that or not, I don't know. But my choice would be the same as against Aberdeen, but with Taylor in at left back. And it's a huge opportunity for us, isn't it? Even a point would be great. I think Zagreb had a weak result yesterday. Whether they rested players or not, I don't know. They've not been doing that well domestically, but they have been doing pretty well in the Champions League.
A point behind us.
And I'm sure it's going to be a relatively intimidating environment that we'll go and play in difficult winter conditions. But I don't fear it. I mean, if you look at Alistair Johnson, somebody, you probably mentioned Alistair Johnson, he made got incredible lung busting. When Trusty and Scales were a bit at sea, Alistair Johnson's athleticism just got us out of jail.
Sets up the first goal as well.
Yeah, when you look at his raw athleticism there, getting back to say, you realise what an athlete you've got as much as a footballer, and he'll play a big part. So I don't fear it. Kyogo's going to be in a nice frame of mind after that lovely finish. I'm sure Carter Vickers will bring a lot more assurity to the back line, and if we can get the flare out of Hatate and Bernardo giving us that stability in the middle of the park, that nice balance between McGregor and Hatate, because Bernardo fills that role well. He plays more as an 8 with a bit more of a defensive brain if he needs to. I think that chemistry could work, and a huge opportunity for us.
Aye, absolutely. Callum, do you agree? In terms of the midfield, I think the midfield, the first choice midfield right now is McGregor, Hatate, Bernardo, and who do you think will do at left back Tuesday?
I personally would go with McGregor, Hatate, Bernardo, but I think you'll replace Bernardo and you'll go Engels.
You think so?
Purely for the physicality. I think Zagreb, a Croatian team, probably big, strong, physically. Hatate and McGregor are quite small. I don't think if you add Bernardo into it, he's got legs, but I think they might
Engels
get a bit...
I think Engels' physicality's dropped off the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Probably,
you know
but what you'll get is players at 21, and that's what we forget, is we spoke about this on the way up, is that look at Matt O'Reilly's first year with us, 4 goals. It's not very good compared to his season after that. Look at Bernardo last year, there was so many spells where it was like, he is not worth what Benfica want, and then there's spells where he scores the goal against Rangers, he's like, pay what we need, pay what you want, and it was so in and out, and really until maybe about April, and then he just clicked into gear and pushed us. The whole team pushed us, but he was a good part of that, and that's what has made Bernardo come back. So Engels is just in the door, and it's this price tags on him, and we need to get that out our heads. I know it's difficult. Forget about the £11 million. Look at what the talent is. You don't play for Belgium against, I think he came up against Italy and Israel. You don't play those games for Belgium when they've got, I know Kevin De Bruyne was slightly injured at Man City, so he's probably not played, but you still don't get in that team. They've probably got a plethora of talent that's maybe even better than Engels, but the manager is sticking with him and giving him an opportunity. And players go up and down in form, but I think he'll pick Engels purely for the physicality. I don't think if you take him out, I don't know if we're strong enough against a Croatian team like that. That I think, I've not seen much of Zagreb, so I'm totally guessing here, but I would assume that they're probably quite physical, quite strong, almost pressing you and giving you a sore one on it, and then trying to turn the ball and get at you quickly. I would imagine that's how they probably play. So I think he'll go Engels. And left back, it's a flip of a coin, it really is. I think he was going to go Taylor, but I would go Valle.
He went Valle in Italy.
I know, I would go Valle because I think he would offer you more quality going up the top part of the pitch when it really counts. I think Greg Taylor, even today, sometimes he's trying to whip balls and not even beating his first man. Look at Alistair Johnson, it's just not the same. It's just not, and I know they do different roles because Taylor comes in and he's that person to pass, like the goal at Aberdeen, which is brilliant.
Exactly.
So I'm not taking it away, but they're different fullback. As Johnson's busting up and down, I would say Johnson probably does double the amount of yards that Taylor does, because they're two different fullbacks. But I think Valle has got almost what Johnson's got. He can get up and down, he's quite fit. But technically, I think
carries the ball better.
Out there, I think he'll be able to control the ball under pressure, especially when that crowd is probably going to get on us at certain points. It's Celtic, but if you're home, we know what that's like. But when it's going to get rough, I think Valle might be a bit better. Sometimes Taylor gets a bit too into the game, and they all say, like, don't play like with your heart, play the game as it is, don't get carried away with the emotion. I think Taylor sometimes can get into that, but I think also Taylor's probably perfect for Sunday in the cup final against Rangers. So I'd probably just personally I would dress him, but I think he'll go Taylor, and I think he'll go Engels in the midfield.
Hopefully Kuhn was a precaution. I mean, Kuhn might not be fit if he's going off today injured at half time.
I meant to check that before I came on. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it was just a rest, or did they look like he had a?
I think he took a wee knock. I think he did take a wee knock. I don't know. But
I'm guessing again here, but I think it was with Cadden. Do you remember when the two of them in the first half, and they went for the ball each, and it ricocheted, and Cadden went down and held on his ankle for a bit, and Kuhn after it kind of like limped a wee bit off, but he just went away. I think maybe, I don't know if it's precaution, but again, even if that, and it would be a big blow if he was out. But I'm not actually that worried if Forrest was to replace him. Kenny says that
form,
Forrest has actually done all right.
alright.
Forrest is extremely well in Europe. He can keep the ball well. Look, he might not be as good as Kuhn, and he's not
Pressure away from home,
he's not a goal threat.
getting after the ball.
But look,
I haven't said he done that well today.
when I went to
against
Lazio,
Hibs.
I know it's 4 or 5 years ago, but Lazio, he was really good under Lennon. He's somebody that's been here, done it at the highest level that Celtic's got to. He's been the main man at one point.
Yeah.
He knows what it requires to get it. What's Rodgers' mindset of going into the game? Is he going to win it, or is he going to get that point? And I think it's 90%. If you get 9 points, you're 90% through, or like possibility. Or does he go for the win, or does he sit in like at Atlanta and do we try and pick Zagreb? Zagreb need to win this because Zagreb have Juventus next. I can't think off the top of my head who the last game is, but it's also a kind of a big club that shouldn't really get a result against, and it's away from home, I think. So that Zagreb are going to throw everything at Celtic. Does Celtic take that approach of Atlanta and say, right, come break us down? Because that result, we spoke about it last night, what a result that is.
It's better every week.
At Atlanta, because they're steamrolling the Italian league by storm. So the result we got, so are we going to adopt that approach?
I think we've counter-attacked well this season, and I think counter-attack could be a good weapon for us on Tuesday. Kenny, today, to just come back to the league form, we've extended the lead again to 9 points. Aberdeen 1 each at St Johnstone. I know we would have liked Aberdeen to keep it up, wouldn't we, because we were quite enjoying that wee spell of Rangers in third place there, but it looks like it's going to come to an end soon. But for us, we've just got to focus on ourselves and batter on and back up the points, and that's what we're doing. And again, another clean sheet today, another 3 goals on the board. We look untouchable domestically.
Yeah, and you can't become complacent, although I mean, I think in my mind, I don't really consider Aberdeen a challenge. So in my mind, the gap's the 11 points. To Rangers,
14 as it stands.
14 today. Yeah, well,
You never know.
Live-
You never know
living
Ross
at
County,
its best, yeah.
do you? As we saw last season.
but yeah, it's only a couple of bad outings, and that becomes you're in a title race again. We're not in a title race at the moment. You can't say that when you're 11 points ahead and you're winning by 3 or 4 goals every week because it's the rhythm we're in. But it can change. Football can change quickly. I mean, I thought Rangers would win 6-0 during the week. So I think it's just about avoiding complacency. And what helps avoid complacency is when you can retain players, because the people that come in, irrespective of how high profile the fixture is, are hungry to perform. And if you get people hungry to perform in every game, complacency isn't an issue. So I think the depth of the squad, the quality of the recruitment could see us on for a sort of 100+ point tally this season. We've sort of threatened that. We got there under Rodgers before. There's nothing to say. We've got to be ambitious. There's nothing to say that we can't get there again. But it's too premature to say that that's our objective. When we're completely out of sight in the league, that's the objective. I think we're capable of that. But it's just about keeping the head, keeping grinding out these results. But we could scarcely be in a better position to put the league to bed early.
Aye, absolutely. Callum, just last one on today. No questions, no arguments about the man of the match. Kasper?
It's got to be Kasper Schmeichel, because I know I've just said that we deserve to win, but ironically, I think Hibs could get 3 goals. Which sounds stupid for me, like I'm contradicting myself, but I don't know. It was strange. Like, you didn't think Hibs would get that many chances. Yeah, they did. Maybe that comes from Trusty and Scales playing, and Carter Vickers coming out in the imbalance that you get, the imbalance that you get with it. Is probably the issue of why, because Hibs are actually really good at breaking through and getting that ball over the top and just one-on-one with Schmeichel. But like, that's why he's played at the Premier League for so long. He's a top keeper. On the points, and Kenny talks about it, that it can drastically. I think we were 11 points clear last year, and then January it kind of tailed off. So we do need to be wary of that. But like we proved on Wednesday going up to Aberdeen in all sorts of conditions that we could still play the game ugly and get it done. And we tried to play football that night, even though it was horrible and Aberdeen kind of like trying to foul us all the time, and Shinnie and Nelson, we still try to play our game. Rodgers talks about it, it's our game, it's our plan. We worry about the other team, but fundamentally we play our style and it should win us the game, and we've done that. Now it's over to Rangers tomorrow, and with a storm coming, some Dara or whatever, up north's obviously a bit different from here. There's not too bad here, but I don't know if it's going to be bad up there, but that's maybe a challenge, because you can feel that Celtic don't feel like they're going to drop many points. We don't feel that right now. Currently we don't feel like that. Even when you're taking 3 out and 3 in, you still feel you can get the job done. I don't think Aberdeen and Rangers can take 3 out and 3 in and comfortably say, oh, we're winning today. I think both clubs are struggling. Aberdeen have fell off massively. Like, it's shocking actually how bad they've done. But yeah, Rangers have got basically Rangers can't drop anything. I mean, probably I think the league's done, but I mean that's a bit maybe naive, but it's going to be a monumental upturn if they want to try and win the title against us. So right now it's for us is focus on Tuesday, try and get a positive result in Zagreb, and it'd be brilliant if we could get the win. 10 points would be incredible, wouldn't it? What a feeling we would have as a club with 2 games spare, 2 friendlies we could call them if we want that. If we can get the win on Tuesday, and then all attentions.
The cup final on a high.
All the attention's turned on to that, and obviously Rangers have Tottenham on Thursday, which maybe it's a difference of resting players and certain players or whatnot. But get Tuesday out of the way. Can we get a good result? Can we perform what we've done in Atlanta? Don't want to see Dortmund. That still scars me, so don't want to see Dortmund at Atlanta. Can we get that same type of performance? I'll be happy with that. Up the road, and let's turn to Sunday in that cup final.
Absolutely, that's it for the post-match pint here from Malones in Glasgow. Like the video, comment with your own thoughts on today's game below, and we will see you on Monday in Croatia. Thank you.